We're here at the Armory in West Palm Beach with Mary Fisher and friends.
I am so amazingly blessed to have my dear, dear friends to share this exhibit with and to actually have shared this whole week with. I'd like to start with Jan Beanie and Jean Littlejohn, who are both from England, who have come, and their work is like remarkable, and they're mentors of mine. So Jan does her own, but they teach together, but they are, believe me, two separate people, but they call themselves Double Trouble. And then I have Jane Dunawald, who is from San Antonio, Texas, and an incredible surface design expert who, for me, is a mentor and just a wonderful woman. And Marcia Christo, who also lives here in West Palm near me. Everything inspires me. I love textures, and I love walls that are caving in. I love things. I love the smallest piece on a leaf. I love. There isn't anything that I can't find something in that I would want to draw, paint, or stitch. But for me, it usually is about my life. I see art in everything. I see colors, I see textures, I see patterns, there isn't anything I don't see art in. And I can't imagine not just seeing it. And sometimes I just have to go to bed because
Shut down.
I don't shut down very well. And so I have to go calm it down because my mind is going, I want to, there's something that I need to put together, but also to show that you can move through hard times and you can have hope, and you can create something that isn't, depressing, but has emotion to it. And I find that now my work feels emotional. I love when people say, how did you do that? Why did you do that? Mm-hmm. And that's okay. Mm-hmm. That's good for me.
My textile interest is in what they would refer to as surface design techniques. So those are mainly wet processes. So I teach, and I incorporate in my own work dyeing of white fabric and screen printed imagery that we have to develop at some point. It doesn't just happen, so we have to think about what sorts of elements we want to use and put together, and they can't really be willy-nilly or there will never be a message. So it helps to think about what those will be and create those tools. But once you get the tools created and you've got these dyed backgrounds, then you have the repertoire of techniques that you're particularly drawn to. For my colleagues, stitch is important, not so much for me.
We belong to a group of textile artists in the UK called the 62 Group, and they are supposed to be edgy, or whatever you think that is, or they're supposed to be pushing forward with their work, and they're very rigorous in their selection. They're very difficult to get into. They get new people out of college who are using cement, whatever there is, video, all different ways of doing things, but we feel quite strongly, and Jan will talk for herself anyway, that if there is something important and an integrity behind the thoughts and the ideas, with what you're doing, just because you're using this edgy material, that doesn't work. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If the person's heart isn't there, if the integrity isn't there, it can use whatever zippy-dippy things are going around, it shows, and integrity shows through. So we would not set out to be edgy, and if we use that, it'll get into the show.
Well, likewise, I like working with a theme. I've got a really big passion about something. Now, one of the big themes in the past was Australia, particularly the Red Centre, but it took me quite a number of years, 3 quite long visits, just absorbing what was there. And it's quite interesting, because I saw a piece of work recently that Mary owns, and that particular part of the rocks formation, I was trying to capture. I'm all about fleeting lights, a light on a surface that's not there for that long, and it will change, and I try to capture that. So although a lot of it is recognisable as landscape, it never is an actual shot or a photograph. It's something that I sort of really think about, and it's an interpretation. Because I'm so lucky that even though I'm just an ordinary sort of teacher, textile artist, we've been so lucky, haven't we, to go to places that if my old headmistress had known, when she said, if you go to art college, you'll go to a life of sin and poverty, I haven't earned lots of money, but I've been so many times to America and to Australia, New Zealand, Israel, Canada, that couldn't believe it to see. Remember, I'm very old, that when you used to see the black and white photographs, of a grainy photograph of a desert and of Australia, and heard about things like the barrier reef, we've been there, and it's just been, and I want to capture the feelings I've had when I was there.
Our group is representative of women who have done this for a period of time, not unlike all of our ancestors, because sewing, and I learned from my grandmother how to stitch and how to do cross stitch and needlepoint and knitting, and that may not be in my art form now, but we always were doing something, and I have to do something with my hands.
Somebody in our past who taught us, some woman who taught us how to do these things, or a bunch of quilters where I sat under the frame in a little congregational church. And so it was almost like we had this secret language that we could all, it gave us an opportunity to share our creativity in a world where we weren't always so welcome, but we did it and got a great deal of pleasure out of it. And
about
so
the connection.
Yeah, exactly. It's about the connection in that way.
Also, not put you in a box. People tend to want to do this. Mary works with weaving and surface design and print. And there are some people almost like purists. Well, they'll look at a piece of my work, might have used paper. What would you describe that as? An embroidery or what? I don't care what you describe it as. That, we can jump from one box to another. That we don't have to sit in that one box. Mm-hmm. We can mix these things, and I think there is more of a feeling that can happen, not this tight little, this is where I sit.
All of these women who have come up with these incredible techniques and ways to do things, and how to do stitch, and how to do, I know you say no, stitch or make a mark, but taking every kind of stitch can be done in hundreds of different ways, which I found, I just never thought of it. And it's fascinating to me. And when you start to put all of these kinds of things together, it's endless. And that's why, I don't sleep. The name of the exhibit is Textile Meditations, Mary and Friends. And I named it Textile Meditations before I knew everybody could come. And I believe that all of us go very deep when we work, and we have a way of doing that, and everybody has a different way of doing that. But for me, stitching and art and working and being in my studio is like a meditation, always like a meditation. And textiles is what we are all about. And that was my purpose. It wasn't to be about me or about my work. It had to be about the work of people that and not only, I mean, I just think that they're amazing women, they're amazing artists, but all very special and all very meditative when we do it. And so for me, that was how the name came about. And it talks about our hearts.